What's up, Weirdos? I'm Chris Weir, and this is the Chris Weir Experience. And today we are on episode number 27 of the Daily Weirdo. And today we're going to talk about being happy. So over the past couple of weeks, I have been talking about these core mindsets of success, or at least the core mindsets of success that I believe. I believe there's 5 mindsets that we each have to have as entrepreneurs or business professionals to ensure that we have real, true success. Number 1, you have to be happy. That's the most important. And I'm going to say these in order of importance. Number 1 is being happy. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But then you've also got to be realistic. I talked about this last week. We did an episode on being realistic and being honest with yourself and self-aware and not trying to do things, it'll be like me trying to be a singer, right? Trust me, you don't want to go there. And just because my mama said I'm the best singer in the world doesn't make me the best singer, right? And aside from being realistic, you have to be authentic. You've got to be true to not only your audience, but you've got to be true to yourself as well. And then you can be very honest about what it is that you're sharing. You've also got to be very patient. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. I think Scott and I even did an episode on being patient and understanding that it takes time to create success, and it's not going to happen overnight, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. So just be patient and allow that to happen. And then the last mindset that you have, you've got to be tough. And I'm going to talk about being tough on the very next episode of the Daily Weirdo after this one. But today we're going to talk about being happy. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, right? If given the choice, you would think that people would choose happiness over being miserable. But every single day, we see people staying in jobs that they absolutely hate, positions that they absolutely are miserable in, and they're choosing to do that for certain reasons, some security, some the paycheck, whatever the case might be, but they're choosing to be unhappy and miserable over following their own dreams and aspirations where they would be happy if they were doing that. Happiness is fundamental to success. If you're not happy, nothing else matters. The money doesn't matter, the security doesn't, because you're miserable and everybody around you is going to be miserable. You have to be happy. Now, however it is that you define success is up to you, right? So you may define success by dollar bills, and that's fine. I would recommend that you not, because it is fleeting. I choose to define success on something that's even bigger than myself. But what you define success as is up to you. But whatever you define it as, happiness is fundamental to you realizing that success. And let me even take a step aside from the money or the emotional side of it. Let's go down to the practical for a moment. When competition is high and you've got competitors nipping at your heels or even passing you in performance, you have to step up and be better. That means you're going to have to put in hours. You're going to have to put in a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of thought. You've got a lot to do if you need to improve efficiencies or improve effectiveness, and certainly when you're trying to beat competitors, you've got a lot of work that's going to go into that. And if you're not doing something that makes you happy, if you're absolutely miserable and unhappy, you're never going to get through those tough times. And if you do get through the tough times, you're going to be just another notch down. It's going to take just another notch of emotion off. And I believe to my core, it'll take years off of your life because you're just eating away at yourself. Don't chase money. Let's go because I think money's probably one of the biggest reasons people stay in positions or jobs that they don't like, that are making them unhappy. Excuse me. You're going to, if you're doing a position, if you're staying in the job or the position that you're in, if you're staying in that for the money, not only are you not going to be happy, you're probably not going to get the money, right? And even if you do, what does it matter? You're not happy enough to do anything with it. You're miserable. So the money is just not going to do anything for you. And the reason I'm harping on this is because I've made that mistake personally. This is one of the mistakes that I've made in my career, is taking a job for the money instead of doing what I love. You know, I've talked about it very briefly a few times now it's been a little over a year ago, but I took about a 10-month break out of the advertising, at least the agency side of the business, and I moved in-house and worked for another company. I was so unhappy having done that. I mean, it was so unsatisfying. It was unfulfilling. It helped solidify for me, and it helped me to realize that I am an entrepreneur. It is what I am. It is what I've always been. It's what I've always done my entire life. And it's just that's who I am. I'm not the person that goes in-house. Yes, the money was great. Don't get me wrong. The perks were good. I had an assistant, blah, blah, blah. I had all this stuff. I traveled. It was great, but I was unhappy. I was miserable. And here's the thing, right? Not only was I unhappy at work, but it starts affecting all your other relationships. Tension between my wife and I, my kids, not spending time. And here's the thing. When I would come home, if you're saying this, right, I come home and I would get on like YouTube. I would be watching videos on YouTube, or I would sit down and play a video game or something like that. All I was doing was escaping my misery. I was escaping my unhappiness. But how I worded it, though, when I got home, is I would tell Candace, I just need time to unwind. Let me de-work here. Let me get work out of my head and let me get into which was bull crap, because I would spend the evening doing that. And I never really got engaged with my family. It was just me trying to find ways to escape being so unhappy with the job that I had. And when you're happy, you're not negative. And I've talked about negativity is self-duplicating. Negativity creates more negativity, and it just keeps piling. It's like a snowball. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it is affecting more and more and more in your life. Happiness is the solution to that. Doing what you love to do is how you become happy. Learn to love. When you find your happiness, learn to love the bad days as much as you love the good days. And that's when you'll have found your route to success and happiness. When you hold a position or you find a job where even the bad days are good days, right? Even the tough stuff, even the worst of your job is still okay, and you're still happy, and you still come home okay. Not saying that bad moods never happen. Obviously, bad moods happen. But I'm saying on a very consistent basis, you come home happy anyway, you will have found where you need to be to find success and happiness. And that, you can keep growing and expanding in that field or that job or that industry or whatever it is, right? But then you have found what you need to be happy. If you're not happy, being realistic, being authentic, being patient, being tough, all of these things, everything that I talk to you guys about marketing and how to do marketing better, none of that matters. It's all irrelevant. We talk about all these different things to make businesses better, to make your business better, to make professionals stronger, and to have more success in the work. But if you're not happy, nothing else matters. That's where you start, is your happiness. And I wish nothing but happiness for each of you. See you on the next Daily Weirdo.